With a little bit of flashlight, you can see the saw blade, the agate, and the light show. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, hello rockhounds, Lapidary lovers, Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. And you know, I posted a video, I don't know, maybe a month ago about an interesting phenomenon I saw. It was a short, and a lot of you folks may not have seen it, because I know a lot of people who watch my long-form content don't watch the shorts. But I've been cutting slices off of this Montana moss agate. I was hoping to find some nice moss inside it, and you know, there's a little bit around the edges, but there's really nothing all that interesting. Here's the last slice that came off, and you can see how transparent it is. You see the wood grain underneath it there. So yeah, it's quite transparent. And I noticed an interesting phenomenon the last time I was cutting a really transparent Montana moss agate. I started it during daylight like this. It's late in the afternoon. Sun's going to set soon. And as it got dark, I noticed an interesting light show going on inside the agate as the blade was going through it. So we're going to wait for it to get a little darker, and I'm going to take another slice off of this agate, and we'll see if we get another light show like we got in that last video. So stay tuned. As soon as it gets a little darker, I'll start this cut, and we'll see what it looks like in there. Alright, it's got dark outside. I've still got the lights on inside the workshop here, but we're going to get this going, and we'll see if we get the same sort of light show out of it that we got last time. So the saw motor is running, and the travel motor is running. It's pretty slow, so it'll probably be a minute or two before it closes the gap to the blade and starts cutting. So let me cut away, and we'll be back when it's cutting. Alright, we just contacted the agate. I don't see any light show yet, but let's wait until the blade gets into it a little bit, see if anything starts happening. Okay, I turned the lights out. And yeah, it looks like the light show is starting up in there. We'll see if it gets as bright as last time, once the blade gets a little deeper into the agate. And I think this probably happens whenever you're cutting a hard rock, but you really only see it if it is a transparent agate. So we'll let it go and see if it gets any brighter here in a couple minutes. Been a little while longer. Sometimes it gets really bright, but then it fades out again. There it goes. Yeah. And I'm running a lot more oil in the sump than last time, so the agate's getting a lot more cool. So the saw blade's getting a lot more cooling than last time, but we're still getting a bit of a light show here. Very interesting. Yeah, we're further into the agate. The light show's more continuous now, so I don't think it's as bright as last time. Maybe, well, I say that, then it gets brighter. I think the heavier flood of oil is, for the most part, damping it down, but it's still there for sure. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, it does get really bright. I just think that the oil can't quite cool down the edge of the blade at there, where at the point where it's contacting the agate. Got to be enough friction there to cut that hard rock, and that's going to produce a lot of heat. Yeah, wow, look at it. Look how bright it's getting. Wow. Turn the light back on. See if we can see it with the lights on. Yeah, there it is. I think the flashing is artificial. The imaging rate of the phone beating with the rotation rate of the saw, because it looks continuous to the eye. And we don't get that in the dark. I think the exposure changed or something when I turn the light on. Let me turn the lights back out. Yep. So I guess this is why they say you shouldn't use a flammable oil in your saw. That's clearly getting really hot in there. Okay, so we're just going to let this cut go to completion, and we'll take a look at the slice we get off of it when it's done. It's gotten a lot darker. Okay, with the lights off, I can't see how much more of the cut we got, but I'm thinking we must be getting close to done. In fact, I just heard it thud. I think we are done. Okay, let's see what we got here. So let's have a look at the slice we just cut. Yeah. There it is. Hey, there's more moss in there than I thought there was going to be. Let me pull the slide out and see if I can get another cut. I might want to try a super thin cut if I can get one. But yeah, that's prettier than I thought it was going to be. Alright, I'm going to try another cut. I'm going to try taking a super thin cut off it, because that's all the material that I can take off without trying to reposition the agate, which is getting really thin. So we'll see how much more of a light show we get if it's really thin. Maybe more light will come through. Let me fire it up and we'll see. Okay, here we go for a super thin cut. And we're moving. I'll turn the lights out and watch and see what happens. Oh yeah, we're just starting to cut and already we've got the light show. Okay, we'll see if it gets more intense as we get deeper into the agate. Yeah. Let's see if it gets brighter here in a minute or two. It definitely comes and goes. It'll be really bright, and then it'll just fade out. I don't know if we're hitting harder and softer areas of the agate or what. That's very interesting. The color on the video is very close to what I'm seeing with the eye. It's very red-orange. Check on it in another minute or two. Well, there, yep, got really bright there for a bit. We'll see if it becomes continuous here shortly. Yeah, now we got the light show going. Oh yeah. I don't think it's probably bright enough to see much if I turn the lights on, but here in the dark it's impressive. The autofocus on my camera is not doing it any justice. It's too dim to focus on. Wow, yeah, it got bright just then. Very neat, wow. And it fades out, and then it's back. Whoa. Yeah. Holy cow, now it's getting bright. Look at that. Holy cow. Well, but I could see that if I turned the lights back on. Let's see if I can. Of course, the brightness is fading as I say that. There it is. Oh yeah, plenty bright enough to see with the lights on. And again, that flashing, that's an artifact of the camera shutter speed. It's not, it looks continuous to my eye. Yep, we got us a light show, baby. Yep, now it's getting darker again. Looks like it was cutting through some black moss. There it is. Maybe that black moss is a little harder or something. I don't know. Let me turn the lights back out. With a little bit of flashlight, you can see the saw blade, the agate, and the light show. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, we'll let this cut go to completion. I'll show you anything interesting that happens along the way. It's a couple minutes later. It's not quite as bright as it was, but it's a little more extensive. I think it's slowly fading. It did it last time too. It kind of got dimmer as we got further into the rock. I think that's kind of what's happening here too. I'll keep an eye on it, see if anything interesting happens. Yeah, the saw blade is buried deep in the agate now. There's a long, long trail of light there. It's a big agate. And look, there's multiple lines of fire there. Interesting. I wonder if that's where different diamonds are sticking out and contacting the rock or something. Very cool. It's been a few more minutes and the light has faded a lot. Kind of like it did last time. It seems like it's fading out as we get towards the end of the cut. Alright, so we'll just let the cut complete and see what this super thin slice looks like. So you may be asking yourself, why am I cutting agates in the middle of the night? Well, number one, it's the weekend and I don't have to go to work tomorrow, so I can stay up late and work in my workshop. But secondly, astronomy is one of my hobbies too, and I have a telescope set up over here, and I'm taking pictures of galaxies in the constellation Leo while the saw is doing its thing. So let me show you what's happening over here. So here's the images I'm capturing with the telescope, 3 galaxies in Leo. And they're downloading to my tablet here. And I'm just having a grand old time out here, taking pictures of the sky and cutting agates. That's my idea of a good evening. Maybe it's not yours, but it is mine. Works for me. Anyway, I think the saw is just about done. It's starting to get quiet in there, so as soon as I hear it, the cut finish, we'll take a look at that thin slice and see how it turned out. Well, Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, ran out of blade on this cut. So never quite made it all the way through this agate, but I wonder if I just give it a little bit of a nudge here. Will it crack? Maybe not. Okay. Let me pull it out of the blade and out of the clamp, and then maybe I can break it. That is a tough agate. I find that these Montana moss agates are amongst the hardest and toughest of the agates that I cut in this saw. I don't know if that's your experience. Let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know if you know of a harder agate than these. Anyway, let me see if I can get it out, and we'll see if we can break that last little bit off. Yeah, that's one super tough agate. It's just hanging on by a little nub. Let me see if I can... There it goes. Yep. There we are. Wow, that's thin. Look at that. Ah, it's a thin one. It's cool. Anyway, I think that's it for the light show tonight. I'm going to start wrapping things up. The clouds are getting a little thick for astronomy, and it's getting a little late to cut any more rocks. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see my future videos. There'll be more agate cutting and all kinds of stuff, you know, and not necessarily just at night, but also during the day where you can see what I'm doing. So subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye.